All right, ready to dive deep. Today we're taking on The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Oh, a classic.
It really is. It's full of Toltec wisdom, and we're going to unpack it all. The secrets to personal freedom and happiness.
You know, what I find so interesting about Ruiz is how he takes these ancient Toltec ideas and makes them so relatable, like practical for everyday life.
Totally. Like right off the bat with The Dream of the Planet, it's this idea that we're born into a system, a pre-existing dream with all its rules and beliefs, but we didn't choose it.
Exactly. Imagine you're teaching a dog to sit, you use rewards, you use punishments, and eventually the dog learns to obey.
Makes sense, yeah.
Well, Ruiz says humans go through a similar domestication. We learn society's rules and expectations basically from birth.
So, okay, we're domesticated, but how does that actually affect us?
It creates this thing Ruiz calls the mitotes. It's like, think of it as mental fog. All those shoulds and shouldn'ts we've internalized, all the conflicting beliefs just swirling around in our heads.
Oh, I feel that.
And all of that can prevent us from seeing our true selves and really living authentically.
You know, that really hits home for me. Have you ever felt that pressure, like you're supposed to be a certain way, even if it doesn't feel right? That might be the mitote talking.
Could be. So how do we break free from this dream? How do we clear the mitote? That's where the Four Agreements come in.
Okay.
They're like a guide, a set of tools to reclaim your personal power and see through the illusions we've been taught to accept.
All right, lay those agreements on me. What's the first one?
First agreement, be impeccable with your word.
Impeccable. That's a strong word. What's that even mean?
It's about understanding the true power of words. Words can create, they can destroy, they can cast spells. Literally. Think about it. Have you ever been deeply hurt by someone's careless words?
Yeah, I think everyone has.
Right. Words have energy, and that energy has a real impact. On us, on others, it can last a long time.
Wow, never thought of it like that. It makes you realize how much weight our words carry.
It really does. And it's not just about being careful not to hurt other people. It's about how we talk to ourselves, too.
Right.
That inner critic, that voice of judgment. It's using words, too. And those words can be just as damaging.
True. So being impeccable means being mindful of your language, both with others and with yourself.
Exactly. It's about choosing words that uplift, empower, and spread positive energy. All right, ready for the second agreement?
Get me with it.
Don't take anything personal.
Wait, seriously, don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
People can be so hurtful. How's that even possible?
It's definitely challenging, but Ruiz is asking us to shift our perspective. When we take things personally, we're basically assuming everything revolves around us, which just isn't true.
Okay. But like, what if someone criticizes my work? How do I not take that personally?
Let's say someone gives you negative feedback on a project. Instead of immediately feeling hurt or defensive, try to see it from their perspective. Maybe they're having a rough day. Maybe their communication style is just different.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Their feedback might have more to do with them than with you.
That's true. It's easy to jump to conclusions when you're wrapped up in your own feelings. But if you remember that everyone's got their own stuff going on, their own mitote even, it's easier to let things roll off your back.
Exactly. Okay, this next one is a biggie. Get ready.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's hear it.
Don't make assumptions.
Don't make assumptions. Sounds simple enough, but I bet there's a lot more to it.
Oh, yeah. Think about it. How many fights, how many misunderstandings happen because we assume we know what someone's thinking or feeling?
Oh, all the time.
It's like our brains try to fill in the blanks and we get it wrong, you know?
Happens to the best of us.
Ruiz would say those assumptions are part of the dream, the conditioning we talked about. We think we know what's going on, but often we have no clue.
Yeah, that's fair. So how do we break that habit, the assuming habit?
Ask questions. Instead of assuming you know what someone means, just ask them to clarify. And be open to hearing their perspective, even if it's different from yours.
Makes total sense. Communication is key. Like that saying, when you assume, you make it...
ASS out of you and me.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got 3 powerful agreements. Be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, and don't make assumptions. What's the 4th one?
All right, the 4th agreement is always do your best.
Always do your best. I mean, isn't that kind of a given? Isn't everyone trying their best all the time? Why is that even an agreement?
Here's the thing. Ruiz knows that our best changes. Some days our best is going to be amazing, and some days, well, it's not.
So it's not about being perfect, it's about effort. Like Putting in the effort, whatever that looks like in the moment.
Exactly. And he has this great story about a guy who asks a Buddhist master how long it'll take to reach enlightenment if he meditates 4 hours a day. Master says, maybe 10 years.
Okay, makes sense. What happened next?
The guy, trying to be overachiever, asks, what if I meditate 8 hours a day? And the master says, maybe 20 years.
Wait, so meditating more could slow him down? That's trippy.
The point is, it's not about pushing yourself beyond your limits or sacrificing your joy. It's about finding the balance. Being present, engaged, but not burning out.
I like that. So always do your best. Doesn't mean striving for perfection. It's about being authentic, accepting limitations, and putting in the effort, whatever that looks like on any given day.
Right on.
Love it. I'm already feeling inspired, but these agreements are just the start, right?
Yeah.
There's more to Ruiz's philosophy.
Oh, we've only scratched the surface. He goes way deeper, exploring where these agreements come from and giving a roadmap for true personal freedom.
You've got me hooked. I can't wait to hear more.
So we've got these 4 agreements, right? Tools for freedom. But where do they even come from? Like, what's the deeper philosophy here? Well, Ruiz goes into this whole thing about recognizing and fighting what he calls the parasite.
A parasite. Okay, hold on. Like some creepy brain parasite? I'm kind of freaked out now.
No, not literally. It's a metaphor. It's for all the negative junk that gets stuck in our minds. The judge, the victim, all those voices saying we're not good enough, not smart enough, whatever.
Okay, so more like a thought parasite, not an actual, yeah.
Exactly. Ruiz says those voices, they're like a parasite feeding off our negative energy, keeping us trapped in self-doubt.
Makes sense, yeah. So how do we get rid of it? Any mental parasite killing strategies?
If only it were that easy. Ruiz has this 3-pronged approach to fighting the parasite. It's how we reclaim our mental freedom.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are the 3 prongs?
First, we gotta face our fears. You know, the deep-seated ones, the ones that trigger all those negative emotions.
Right, the stuff the parasite loves to munch on.
Yep. It's about confronting them, proving to ourselves they don't have the power we think they do.
Facing our fears, huh?
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Any tips on how to actually, do that?
It's a process for sure, and it can be tough. But every time we face a fear, the parasite loses its grip a little. Start small. What's one tiny fear you could face today? Maybe speaking up at a meeting or trying something you've been putting off?
You're right. It doesn't have to be huge, life-changing stuff. Small steps.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second thing. Controlling our emotional reactions. Now, this isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about being aware of them. Understanding where they're coming from and choosing how we respond.
So instead of letting emotions run wild, we can kind of take a step back, right? Like, okay, I'm angry right now. Why am I angry? What's causing this?
Exactly. And then instead of just reacting on impulse, we choose a better response, one that doesn't, feed the parasite.
Gotcha. So face the fears, control the reactions. What's the third approach?
Okay, this one's a little more symbolic, but just as powerful. Ruiz calls it the initiation of the dead.
Initiation of, whoa, okay, now you're losing me. What does that even mean?
It's about realizing we could literally die at any moment. Might sound dark, but it's actually freeing. When we get how precious and fragile life is, we can let go of regrets, resentments, all that baggage.
So it's like symbolically dying to our old selves.
Yeah.
The fears, limitations, all that stuff, and then being reborn into a better way of being.
You got it. It's about embracing the present moment, living each day fully.
I like that. Makes you appreciate what you've got. So if we face our fears, control reactions, and kind of symbolically die, we break free from the parasite and get our mental freedom back.
Yes. And once we're free from that grip, Ruiz says we can start making a new dream, a dream of heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth. Now you've really got my attention. What does that even look like?
Ruiz describes it as this state of bliss. Love's everywhere, you appreciate the beauty in everything, connect with others from a place of compassion.
Sounds amazing. To live in constant bliss, where love's the driving force. Is that even possible?
Ruiz thinks so. He says the key is shifting our perception, releasing the judgments, the negativity that clouds our vision, choosing love as our way of life.
So it's not some far-off utopia. It's something we create here and now by changing how we see the world.
Right. But, he admits, it ain't always easy. Those old thought patterns, they'll try to creep back in.
So how do we stay on track? How do we keep moving towards this heaven on earth, even when the negative stuff tries to take over?
It's like anything worth learning, It takes time.
Yeah, like Rome wasn't built in a day.
It's a journey, not a sprint. There'll be times when you slip up, you fall back into those old habits, and that's okay, it happens.
We're all human.
Exactly. It's not about beating yourself up. The key is to just notice it, learn from it, and move on. Don't get stuck in the past.
Easier said than done sometimes.
For sure. But Ruiz really emphasizes self-forgiveness, When you mess up, own it, learn, and then let it go. Focus on what you can do right now.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We can be so hard on ourselves. But what if we treated ourselves with the same kindness we'd show someone we love?
Exactly. And remember, the 4 agreements, they're tools. They're not meant to be these strict rules, They're more like guidelines.
Right. Guidelines for living with more awareness, more love.
That's it. So we've covered the 4 agreements, the dream, the mitote, the parasite, even heaven on earth. Anything else we should touch on from Ruiz's teachings? Any last bits of wisdom?
Well, he does leave us with a pretty powerful question at the end of the book, one that really makes you think about your priorities, how you treat the people you care about. You ready for it?
Hit me.
He asks, what if I had a big fight with you, and I told you all those emotional poisons that I have against you, and you die tomorrow?
Wow. Okay, yeah, that really stops you in your tracks.
Right. It makes you realize that, none of us knows how much time we have.
Exactly. So why waste time holding on to anger, resentment, all that negativity?
It's like life's too short to hold back on love and appreciation.
And forgiveness. Forgiving others, forgiving yourself. Because in the end, holding on to those bad feelings, it hurts you the most.
That's so true. So what's the big takeaway here? What do we want our listeners to walk away with?
Ruiz is basically calling us to wake up from the dream of the planet, Create a new dream, one that's built on love, authenticity, freedom.
It's a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Facing your fears, learning to live with more awareness, more joy.
And it all comes down to challenging those limiting beliefs, those negative thought patterns, embracing the power of love to change our lives, our relationships.
Absolutely. It starts with each of us making the choice.
You have the power to choose your thoughts, your words, your actions. You have the power to create heaven on earth, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you.
Now that's a powerful message to end on. So to our listener, we encourage you. Dive into Rui's work. See what resonates with you. Apply these agreements to your own life. See what kind of magic you can create.
See you next time.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 4 agreements. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep creating your own heaven on earth.